everybody. It's time for mat Pilates. We're gonna hop right into it. My name is Laura. Grab your mat, grab some water if you'd like it, and let's get started. So, if you're new to me, welcome. I teach a very traditional mat Pilates class, if you're familiar with that. So we're gonna start lying on our backs. Arms are long by our side. We always start with a nice warm up here. Feet are flat on the floor, on your mat, wherever you are. So you have a nice long neutral spine. You have a little space between your lower back and the mat. So that's what I mean by neutral. Kind of just like a grape-sized space between your back and the mat. And we always start with our breath here. Our inhales are through our nose. Exhales are through our mouth. So keep going with that breathing pattern. It's important to get into your breath here because Pilates is all about breath and flow and control. So it might seem like we're off to a slow start, but trust me, we get going. On your next exhale, I want you to draw the belly button in, engaging the core so everything's nice and strong. You have not changed the position of your back. You just engaged your core, drawing that belly button in. Keep that engagement here as you continue with your breath. And on your next exhale, we're going to do a little pelvic tilt as we gently press the lower back down to the mat. So we've closed that little space between your lower back and the mat, and this is what we call imprint position. With that pelvic tilt, imprinting the spine down to the floor. And we're going to rock back to our neutral spine that we started in. And on your own time, just rocking back from imprint to neutral. Again, important that we find these different positions because I will refer to them as we move through class. Imprint and neutral. So whenever we have our legs up in the air, if our spine is not imprinted on the mat, it's going to be a problem. So I will cue that as we move through some of the more challenging exercises. We're going to let this next imprint roll us up to a bridge, lifting the hips up to the ceiling. Arms stay long by your side, belly button drawn in. Holding here. So we felt the hamstrings and the glutes kick in, I hope. Right? Back of the body working. Hips are even. So pay attention. Take note of what's going on in your body if you have some imbalances. Scoop in the belly and exhale, roll it back down. And again, exhale, imprint the spine, rolling up, hips go up to the ceiling, find that position at the top, hamstrings, glutes engaged, feet firmly planted on the floor with even weight distribution in the feet. And roll it back down. We've got one more here. We're going to roll it up through the spine, holding at the top. And we're going to stay here for a moment. What I want you to do is lift the toes up off the floor. So now we're actively pressing through those heels. And hopefully you've noticed a little shift in the hamstrings and the glutes, having to work a little bit harder. Place those toes down and I want you to lift the heels. Still working through the hamstrings and the glutes, and now the calves have kicked in a little bit, I hope. Heels are lifted. And plant those heels back down, weight evenly distributed in the feet, and roll it back down the spine. Give the knees a hug. So throughout class, there's not a lot of time to just rest. I will move from one exercise into the next, purposely, okay? So if your body needs a rest, this is a great resting position to go to if you need it. If you need it, you take it, even if I'm not taking it, okay? You listen to your body. Let's bring the knees up to what we call tabletop position. Knees are directly over the hips and about at 90 degrees. Belly button's drawn in. We start with gentle toe taps. Tap and lift. So the movement is at the hip. Warming up these hip flexors here. The hip flexors, I will talk more about them as class goes on. Our belly button's drawn in and your back is not leaving the mat like I already mentioned, right? Whenever we move the legs, the back needs to stay firmly planted on the mat. Tap and lift. Inhale, exhale. So now you may choose to stay here with this toe tap. If you're ready for more of a challenge, you're going to extend the leg long and return. Long and return. We're alternating. We reach, return, as if somebody's pulling your leg away from center. Reach all the way to a full extension. Don't just half reach it, right? Full extension. And as you get to that full extension, I hope you feel that extra work through your core. If you're ready to take it up a notch with your speed, here we go. And switch, and switch. If you're not there, you go back to one leg at a time, or you go back to the toe taps. We always have options. And 3, and 2, and 1, and I want you to hug the knees. So whenever we have our legs involved in a core exercise, it intensifies it, right? We could do crunches for the next 45 minutes, but that's not nearly maximizing our time, right? Bring those knees back up to tabletop, arms straight up to the ceiling. Going into a crunch here, exhale, lift the head and shoulders and reach your arms along by your side. Fingertips reaching to the wall in front of you. And inhale, return. And exhale, lift. And inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. And inhale, lower. Next one, lift and hold. Reaching those arms long, fingertips are reaching long. We're going back to those toe taps. Here we go. Tap and lift. Tap and lift. So by having the head and shoulders lifted, clearly this has taken the exercise up a notch. If you need to rest your head and shoulders down, please do that. Or you can take your hands behind your head if needed. Take it to that fully extended leg. Return. Reach. Return. If you're ready, take up that speed. Reach and switch and switch. For 3 and 2 and 1, hug those knees, rest your head. Knees come back up to tabletop, arms back up to the ceiling. Exhale, lift to that crunch and hold. And we start to pump the arms. We inhale for 5 and exhale for 5. So this is the 100. If having your legs up is just too much for you right now, place them down. Okay, feet firmly planted on the mat. If having them in tabletop is not quite enough, extend the legs long and turn out to your Pilates V, meaning we're externally rotated up the hips and our heels are hugging together. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whole body goes long. Arms reach above your head, legs are long on the mat. Inhale, arms come up to the ceiling. Exhale, rolling yourself up off the mat for our roll up. Over to the toes. Scooping the belly in as you control yourself all the way back down. And again, inhale, arms come up. Exhale as you roll up through the spine. Over to the toes. Scooping the belly in and controlling your way back down. So as we're moving through our roll up, we're thinking about staying centered. If you find yourself pulling to one side or the other, clearly it's because you have one stronger side that wants to kick in, because maybe you're just not quite strong enough to stay in the center here of your spine. So please pay attention to that. Use your exhale on that hardest part. That's not a Pilates thing, that's an exercise thing, right? You exhale where it's the hardest. So we inhale, arms come up, and here comes the hard part. Exhale. And feel like you're tucking your belly button up under your rib cage. I want one more here. I want you to reach over and hold that stretch. If If you can flex the feet and if you can touch them, go ahead and give a little pull back on those toes. Little calf stretch here. If you can't reach the toes, just place your hands on your shins. Breathe into that stretch. Enjoy that for a moment. And now rolling up the spine, arms are long in front of you, and control your way back down. Right knee pulls into your chest. Left leg stays long on the mat. Left hand comes onto your right knee and you guide it across your body for a gentle spinal twist. You can go ahead and take your right arm out to the side. Palm can face up or face down, whatever feels right for you. And enjoy that spinal twist. Nice little stretch through the chest. Stretch through the spine. And exhale yourself back to center. Straighten that leg up. Lift the head and shoulders if that feels good for you. And enjoy a hamstring stretch here. And while you're here, take a glance down at that left leg and make sure it's coming right out from the hip and not floating away to the edge of your mat. Straight out as if you were standing on it. Keeping the leg up, take the head and shoulders down, arms long by your side. Belly button drawn in. Now before we move, anchor those hips. Leg slightly crosses your center line. Circle around and up. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. One more in this direction and then we reverse. So the leg circles are about your core stability. It's not about the hamstrings, the adductors, the glutes. It's about what's going on in your center as the weight of your leg is circling. That requires a lot of stabilization. Last one here. Flex the foot, press through that heel, pull those toes back. Slowly lower the leg straight down. 3, 2, 1. Pull the left knee into your chest. Leg circles are deceivingly challenging. To watch somebody do it, it's like, meh, no big deal. Take your right hand onto your left knee and guide it across your body. But to actually do it and to not let the hip flexors do all the work, to not let the hamstrings ache in pain, and to really stabilize yourself requires a lot of mind-body connection, breath, and control. And that is exactly what Pilates is. Bring it back to center for me. Straighten that leg up. Lift the head and shoulders if that feels right for you. Breathe into that hamstring stretch. Take a glance down at that right leg. Make sure it's coming right out from the hip as if you were standing on it. Lower the head and shoulders down. Arms long by your side. Anchor those hips. Belly button drawn in. Legs slightly cross his center. Circle around and up. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. One more, then we reverse the direction. Here we go. Inhale and exhale. Two more. Last one. Finish that leg in the center. Flex the foot. Press through that heel. Slowly lower straight down. 3, 2, 1. Pull both knees into your chest. Rock yourself up to a seated position for rolling like a ball. Hands are down by your ankles. Heels are hugged in close. C-curve through your spine. Your gaze goes down towards your belly button. We inhale, rock back to the shoulder blades. Exhale, rock up to a balance. Inhale and exhale. Keep going. So as I already mentioned, breath, control, flow, right? It's very easy to use momentum on this one if we let our legs fly out, right? I could let my legs fly and it's like I'm a kid, okay? We could all do that, but to keep the heels hugged in close. Last one. Hold it at the top here. Hold it at the top. 3, 2, 1. 1. Take your hands on your knees. Come onto a little ball. So you're about at your shoulder blades, okay? 2 hands come onto your right knee. Your left leg goes long in front of you. Exhale, switch. Exhale, switch. So this is the start of our ab series. Stick with it as best you can. This is 5 exercises in a row. If anything gets too challenging, take it back to the previous exercise. Okay, or if you need a little breather, take one and jump back in when you can. One more each side. Now both knees hug in, double leg stretch. Both legs go out and your arms reach above your head. Pull it in. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. As we're moving through this, I mentioned earlier, your back does not leave the mat. Your legs are reaching long, but nothing is moving in your center. Three, 2, last one. Both legs reach straight up to the ceiling. 2 hands behind the right leg. Left leg lowers down. We exhale, switch. Exhale, switch. Nice long leg reaching away, right? Don't just kind of half reach. Make the most of that. I want one more each side, and then both legs finish straight up to the ceiling. 2 hands come behind your head. Turn your legs out to your Pilates V. Belly's drawn in, legs lower about 6 inches. 3, 2, 1, lift. 3, 2, 1, lift. Now what's happening in your back? Nothing, right? It's not moving. Keep it down. Take a glance down at your belly. Has it popped up? I hope not. We're drawing that belly button in. One more. Bend those knees to tabletop. Crisscross. Elbow to opposite knee. Really get that twist for 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Hopefully you did those with me. Let's rock ourselves up to a seated position. I'm going to grab a sip of water. And I would like you to come to a seated position with your legs straight out in front of you. If that is just not a position that's happening for you, for whatever reason, if you have a yoga block, sit on it. If you have a towel you can roll up, sit on it. If you have a foam roller, sit on it, okay? The purpose being, it props you up a little bit, takes some of the stretch out of the hamstrings, glutes, lower back, okay, and opens up that angle at the hip flexors. Okay, so all those little tricks, please use them. I would rather you do that than look like this, which I know that's a very good percentage of people, okay? So I'm not saying that to point fingers at anybody. We're working with what we have, and that's why you're here doing this. Legs are zipped together. Arms are out to the side, palms facing forward. Your shoulder blades are down on your back. So if your shoulders are creeping up towards your ears, you need to drop those babies down. Belly button drawn in. You're going to exhale as you slowly twist towards one wall. Hold that there with an exhale. Inhale back to center. Other side, exhale, twist. Inhale back to center. Now before we do the next one, look at your feet. They are right next to each other. As we twist, Do not allow one leg to shift and get longer than the other. Not really get longer, but look like it gets longer. Back to center. Exhale, twist. Because we're not letting any movement happen in the hips. We're not shifting here. Getting a nice spinal twist. Last one here. Back to center. I want you to open the legs to just the width of your mat. Okay? Take your hands behind your head. We're going into what's called the neck pull here. I'm going to break it up into pieces. If you're not ready for the full exercise, you choose your pieces that you're going to work on. Long spine, belly button drawn in. We are hinging with a flat back, meaning there's no curve in our spine. And then we exhale back up. And we hinge. I should mention, if you're sitting on a yoga block or a foam roller, you need to lose that. Sit down on the floor and bend your knees if you have to. Hinge, return. So we're going to let this hinge take us as far as it possibly can, and then we curve the spine as you exhale, roll down to your back. Take your arms, reach them up to the ceiling. Exhale, roll it up just like we did earlier. Reaching forward, keep those feet flexed. Stacking the spine, hands come back behind your head. And we start again. We hinge. If you're not ready for that full roll up, you stay with your hinge. We scoop the belly, roll it down. Reach the arms straight up to the ceiling. Exhale, roll up. Over to the toes for that nice long stretch. Stacking the spine, hands come behind your head. And we hinge. And we scoop and roll. Now to challenge yourself, if you're ready for that, keep your hands where they are. Exhale. Reaching over. Stacking the spine. Two more, just like that. We hinge. We scoop and roll. We exhale. It's hard. You'll probably see me struggling a little bit there. Stack the spine. Last one. Hinge. Scoop and roll. Now don't yank on the neck. Keep the elbows wide. Stacking the spine back up. Okay, I want you to bend your knees. Heels into the mat. If you want your feet flat, that's okay. I'm on a little bit of an angle tonight, so hopefully this works out okay for how you're seeing my positioning. Arms straight out in front of you, shoulder height, shoulder width. Scoop the belly button in. Exhale, roll it back to a spot you can maintain. Meaning, let's hold it here for a few moments, okay? We're going to add some little mini crunches here. But before we move, we're holding and breathing. And the image is that you're tucking your belly button up under your rib cage. And add a little mini crunch. Keep going here. Keep those shoulders down as we get tired and we stress a little bit. Our shoulders tend to creep up to our ears. Drop them down, my friends. 3, 2, 1, hold. Take your right arm and reach it out to the side so the arms are in like an L position. Now don't move. Just extending that arm out to the side. You've kicked in through the obliques on that side, and I hope you feel that. 3, 2, 1. Arm center, left arm out to the side into that L. Holding, breathing. 3, 2, 1. Arm center, roll it down onto your back, hug your knees. Feet come flat onto the mat. We're going to work through the back of the body a little bit here, through our hamstrings and the glutes and the lower back, what we refer to as our posterior chain of muscles. Feet are firmly planted on the floor or on your mat, and I don't want your feet too far apart, okay? And you'll see why in a minute. Your heels are lined up with your sits bones, the bony part of your bum that you sit on. Exhale, lift to a bridge and hold. Holding here and breathing. Keep those hips high, hamstrings, glutes working, belly button drawn in. Holding, breathing. We're gonna do some little presses up with those hips. Push it up, up. So if you're not engaging through the glutes, you need to focus on that. Connect that mind to your body and figure out what muscle groups you're working. 4, 3, 2, hold. Right knee comes up to tabletop. Left leg working alone. We're not moving, we're holding. Hamstring, glute working seriously on that left leg. Hold 3, 2, 1. Right foot down, left leg up to tabletop. Hold and breathe. Now, just because we've lifted a leg doesn't mean that we're sinking in the hip. Hold and breathe. 3, 2, 1. Foot comes down. Keep that bridge. Pulses up, up. So I speak a lot to what muscle groups are working because I find it so important. You might not care, quite frankly, that's okay. 4, 3, 2, hold. Squeeze the glutes. Feel the hamstrings working. 3, 2, 1. Lower down, hug the knees. But I just find it very important to know what we're working so we make that connection. And maybe it's because I find it fascinating. Maybe you don't, that's okay. Let's come up to a seated position and then come to side lying, please. I'm gonna take a sip of water. So the more we know about the connections through our body and what we should be working, where we should be feeling things, the better our workout will be. And that goes for any exercise, not just Pilates, anything. So if you have any shoulder, neck, back issues, I need you to take your arm long and let your head rest on your arm. It gets everything in line much nicer. I like to have my head up. I don't have any of those issues or concerns. Belly button drawn in. Lift that top leg long, only about 6 inches from that bottom leg. Top hand goes right down in front of you gently. Flex the foot, little lifts, up, up. So as we flex that foot, I've mentioned this before, and we press through that heel, it really helps us to engage up through the back of the leg. So keep that in mind. We're not just working the abductors, the outer thigh, we're also working through the back of the body. 3, 2, 1. I want you to point the foot and make small circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Reverse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest the leg for a moment. Now, if your core is not engaged, you're going to feel very wobbly. Let's turn that leg out from the hip, externally rotating up the hip. It's a small little movement. The foot's pointed. Let that leg come up and flex to come down. Now, because we've turned that leg out, you get much more range of motion, right? So allow that leg to kind of fly a little bit. Enjoy that, but not so much that the hips fall back. Okay, stay stacked, keep your turn out, keep your core engaged. Point as the leg goes up, flex as the leg goes down. I want 3 and 2, apparently the doorbell, and 1, sorry about that, and rest. From here, come onto your stomach. Make a pillow for your forehead with your hands. And let your legs be heavy into the mat. Hips are evenly pressed down to the mat. Your belly button's drawn in. And we're going to start to lift the upper body here. Your hands are going with your forehead like they're glued together. We inhale, lift. We exhale, lower. We inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Keep going. Inhale, lift. exhale, lower. I want you to keep moving. I'm gonna sit up so you can hear me. When we're doing these lower back exercises, our belly button is drawn in. Resist the urge to push your belly into the mat, okay? We're drawing it in. I don't care how high you get. Lift and lower. I want one more. Lift and lower, and then you're gonna gently push yourself back to a child's pose. And then you're gonna make your way onto side lying on the other side. You can just flip right over. I need to turn my whole body so you can still see what's going on. So rest your head in your hand or on your extended arm. Top hand can go down in front of you. Lift that leg, flex the foot, press through that heel, little lifts, up, up, up. So I'm going to talk a moment about our lower back exercises when we're lying in our prone position, because they're so important. And I think I talk about them every week, but that shows how important they are to me. 3, 2, 1. We're going to point that foot. We're going to circle. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Reverse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest the leg for a moment. I'm going to turn out from the hip, right? Foot stays pointed. Let that leg fly. Bring it up. Flex it down and up. So as we're doing our prone exercises, working through our spinal extension, meaning when we're moving backwards, right? Instead of spinal flexion, which is what our whole life is about. Bending forward is what we call spinal flexion. It's important to really engage that mind to your body and think about what muscles are working. Okay, so we're gonna go to that again in a moment. I like doing a little transition from one side of the leg series to the other to give us a little bit of a break, so it's a good time to sneak in some back work. Last one here, and down. And from here, go ahead and lie onto that stomach. Make a pillow for your forehead with your hands, just as we were before. Legs are heavy into the mat. Hips are evenly pressed down. Okay, let's go back to that upper body lift. We inhale, lift into that spinal extension, and we exhale, lower. And we inhale, lift, exhale, lower. I want 2 more. And then if you're ready and have no back trouble or injuries or problems, we're going to extend your arms overhead like Superman. If you do have back trouble or pain or injuries, you need to keep your hands under your forehead for that extra support. Here we go. We inhale, lift. We exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Keep moving. So whenever we take our arms overhead, I've mentioned this before, it increases the load of work on our lower back. So if you have issues with your lower back and you've now extended your arms overhead and increased the weight that's needed to lift, you might have yourself some problems. So that goes for lying, sitting, standing, kneeling, I don't care what. So please remember that as you work through your exercises at home. Last one here. And then sit back to your child's pose. If child's pose doesn't feel right for you, come up to hands and knees and around the spine. I think that's a very important thing to remember about whenever the arms go above your head, because you're working out at home, maybe alone, okay? Sometimes with weights, you need to listen to your body, okay? So please remember that. I'm going to have you come up to a high kneeling position. We're going to sneak in a hip flexor stretch here before we move on. I want you to bring one foot in front, out a little ways, then not directly under your knee, just out just a tad. And you're going to shift your body weight forward. so that I want the knee right over that ankle, and you're gonna open up through that hip flexor right here, okay? Breathing into that stretch, staying nice and long and tall through your spine. If this is a stretch that really is bothersome for you, you need to be doing this every day. The hip flexors are so important and pretty much are utilized through every movement our body makes. So if you're having some tightness through here, you need to pay attention to that. Let's bring it up out of that stretch. Same thing, other side. Other foot goes in front. So sometimes we'd rather ignore the tightness. We'd rather to continue doing the exercises we like to do, that we feel that we're good at. I'm guilty as well, so I'm not pointing fingers. And we ignore the things that we need the most because they don't feel good. So please keep that in mind. And I'm here to answer any questions that you have, so don't hesitate to comment below. Coming up out of that stretch, we're gonna come to all fours. I'm just gonna swivel myself around. You guys don't need to move anywhere. Wrists are under your shoulders, knees are under your hips. And you're in a neutral spine, meaning you have probably a little gentle dip in your lower back, which is a natural position for most of us. Take one leg extended back about parallel to the floor, no higher. Holding there. Belly button drawn in. I don't want your hips moving at all. I want the two headlights. Your hips facing straight down to the floor. Don't let them move. That long leg is going to tap to the floor. Exhale, lift. Tap to the floor. Exhale, lift. And on that lift, you can get a little bit past that parallel position as long as the spine is not moving. So I don't want this, okay? That's not our intention right now. We're long and controlled through those hamstrings and glutes. Lift. We have 3 more. 3, 2, 1. That leg lowers down. I saw Susie do some of these last week, I think it was. Holy, see, I said I saw Susie do them. We're gonna lower, tap down, and lift. Man, these are hard. These are hard. And lift. And lift. And sometimes I wish I could be Susie. And I'm not, so I'll take what I have. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. I want 3, 2, and 1. Lower that leg down. From here, we're working into our planks. So you're going to be on a fully extended arm, unless of course you need to be on your elbows for any reason. Please do that. Let's come to our plank. If you can, your legs are zipped together. Okay, that creates a little bit of instability versus having your feet wide. So if you're ready for that challenge, take it there, please. Belly button drawn in, hold and breathe. Your head is in line with your spine, so your gaze should be right at your fingertips. Holding 3, 2, 1, lower the knees. Sit back to your child's pose. Roll your wrists. Coming back up to our plank. Up and hold. Now you may choose to just hold this plank here. If you're ready, you're going to point the left foot and just let it hover above the floor. Hold and breathe. Don't let any shifting happen in your hips. And place that left foot down, right foot up. No shifting, hold and breathe. 3, 2, 1, foot comes down, rest the knees, sit it back. And let's bring it up. I want you to come to a seated position, whatever that is for you. Legs crossed, legs straight, legs open. I'm sitting on my reformer, so I just have my legs down in front of me. From here, I want to take a nice long side stretch, up and over. So now don't check out at this point because, hey, we're done, right? Don't check out. Soften that elbow of the arm that you're leaning towards because this is not a thing. Soften it, drop that shoulder. Lengthen all the way through your side. Because I bet a lot of us are sitting at a desk, sitting at a table, homeschooling our kids, whatever it might be. And I can pretty much guarantee we're not side stretching through all of that. So these are the important ways to move our body. And like I said earlier, pay attention to the things that don't feel good. They don't feel good because you've got imbalances and tightness. You need to work on that, right? We have all these fabulous fitness professionals at your disposal here. Let's roll those shoulders back. Use us. Ask us questions. We want to help you. That's why we're in this field. We want to answer your questions, so please don't hesitate. One more shoulder roll back. And let's take an inhale. And exhale. One more inhale. And exhale. That's it for tonight, my friends. I hope you enjoyed it. See you back here next Wednesday.